Normally, at this time of year, students from the Baltimore-Washington Academy of Irish Culture would be performing in parades and concerts. Instead, they're going from door to door in this Washington suburb to spread some traditional Irish festive cheer. The musicians and dancers have had to adapt to a new reality this St. Patrick's Day, and so too have the politicians. The traditional meeting between the Taoiseach and the US President will be virtual this year, but officials insist that although there will be no in-person engagements, the Irish influence in Washington remains as strong as ever, particularly when there is a man in the Oval Office who is so proud of his Irish roots.
Quick question about Ireland, if that's okay. I know you're...
Well, you can ask about Ireland anytime you want.
I think the understanding of us on the part of President Biden will be something different and special because of his lifelong immersion in Irish affairs, in his Irish heritage and in his Irish American identity. So I think the door is open, as it always has been, but I think maybe the welcome on the mat will be a little different.
This year is the 40th anniversary of the establishment of the Friends of Ireland caucus, a bipartisan group on Capitol Hill set up to help the peace process in Northern Ireland.
The idea of the Friends of Ireland was to generate a competing narrative of what could happen peacefully on the island of Ireland. And it was a direct challenge to much of the gun running that had been taking place in the United States. So the response was to find a peaceful avenue to channel the grievance that many of us who supported the nationalist position felt.
US newspapers reported on the launch of the Friends of Ireland 40 years ago and listed the founding members, among them Senator Joseph Biden. The caucus was established on St. Patrick's Day, 1981.
So celebrating its 40th anniversary, I can't say I was there for the start of it since I would have been in about kindergarten at the time, so I'm a more recent arrival to it, having joined about 7 years ago when I got elected to Congress. But at the time it was founded in the early 80s, there was a strong desire by a number of Irish American elected officials to attempt to play a constructive role in bringing peace to the island of Ireland. And ultimately, they helped lay the groundwork, I think, in the early 80s for the lobbying that would take place a decade later of the Clinton administration.
The Good Friday Agreement didn't mean the end of the Friends of Ireland caucus. In recent months, members have been very vocal, warning that there will be no US-UK trade deal if Brexit threatens the peace process or leads to the return of a hard border. It helps that the chairman of the group is also the chairman of one of the most powerful committees on Capitol Hill.
People like Richard Neal, the chair of the Ways and Means Committee, a very senior Democrat, he has the ear of Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker. So those kind of connections are very important when it comes to issues like trade, because any trade deal that is achieved between the US and the UK, and indeed between the US and the EU, will go through Congress, will go through that key Ways and Means Committee. So having some allies on the Hill when it comes to these trade issues will be very important for Ireland.
While everyone's St. Patrick's Day celebrations will look a little different this year, the Irish government will be hoping that traditional ties and diplomacy will continue to open doors in the US.
Happy St. Patrick's Day!